There, I just wanted to give you a quick rundown of how to maybe do some of the segmentation um, and look at segmentation information specifically within the Voice of the Consumer Lifestyle Survey. So, coming from Passport homepage, which I showed how to do in a previous video, you can go to Consumers and then Lifestyles, and you can go to the survey. And again, that gives you the dashboard, which I have shown in another video as well. But ultimately, say for example, if I was looking at travel, segments or something like that, what I would probably look for is anything that, once I've worked out what my general segments are, I would look for items in the survey that would indicate that particular main dimension for that segment. So, if I'm looking at something like travel, I'd probably go to leisure and recreation. I could look at things like frequency of types of travel, leisure activities, travel preferences, something like travel destination features. If I know a segment that wants a particular feature, I might just get rid of some of these so that it's not so confusing. So I can look at these particular years. And what I'll do is I'll start to look at the items that they have down here to see if one of those aligns to something that really defines one of the segments. So, for example, if I want to look at, I think that I've got a segment where people like sports and adventure activities. And then, if I have a sport and adventure activity kind of segment, I want to know a little bit more about them, which ones are more likely to be. So, this just does this based on country, but I'm going to do a custom comparison. And if I want particularly just the UAE, I could go to UAE as my first variable. So now it's only going to look at people from the UAE. And I could look at two basic ones, so age, let's say, and gender. There's a lot of them that you could look at though. Again, you could look at income and even some of the psychographics, which I'll show in a minute. And if I apply that now, what I can see is for these 2 years anyway, what I could look at is the differences between these. And so on one hand, I could look at overall in the United Arab Emirates, in 2022, about 12.3% said that that's something that they would do. So if they selected that they like sports and adventure, okay, that means that about 12.3% said they look for sports and adventure in their travel. Now, if we look at the age groups here, I can see the age overall, 15, it's about 13%, about 12% for these guys. 9%, we see a drop happen with age. And then it's a bit higher here, although that's very small numbers here. So you have to be careful about that being representative. They don't even have any females above 60 here in the survey, so I'd just be a bit careful about that. And then also I've broken it down by not age, but age and gender as well at the same time. So what we could see here is that actually 15 to 29-year-olds, while they do generally have quite high selection versus something like 45 to 59-year-olds, that's mainly coming from the males that are 15 to 29. So I could describe my sports and activity adventure group more as younger perhaps, and male, so it's from 15 to 29 or 15 to 44 and male. So that helps me describe that. Now there's a lot more I could do there. I can edit those comparisons and look at things like any of these demographics, income, household members that they have, age of children, things like cars might, depending on your product category, you might want different ones, race and ethnicity, size of city, education, all of these. But also they have these global consumer types as well. So if you click on those, that goes through and gives you a whole bunch of different types of psychographics. And these global consumer types are actually produced by by Euromonitor in a cluster analysis. They analyse the different types of consumers that there actually are. So this is again looking just within the UAE, and I can see if there's any particular type of consumer that is into sports and adventure, right? So the undaunted striver seems to be quite high. Oh, the conservative homebody is a little high as well. Who is not high is the impulsive spenders. Maybe that says something about the shoppers. And the secure traditionalists are quite low as well. So, you know, you can start to see the types of people. And again, these are described in consumers. And when you look through and see the different consumer types in their main segment there, you can have a look at that. But again, I could look at any of these aspects if I think there's, you know, a family oriented travel section segment, you know, and I can have a look at again where they lie in terms of their psychographics, or even things like you know, their income levels, or I could look at the age of their children as well, to see sort of, you know, which ones are looking more family oriented or child friendly kind of places. Yeah, and so that sort of makes sense. You know, as you get older kids, you're looking less at, you know, child friendly stuff, whereas the younger the child, the more likely you are to look for that particular item. So that's just a little bit of an overview of how you might look at and create your descriptions of your segments based on some of the research data. So hopefully, yeah, that helps. Again, you're just going to have to look through and try to find stuff relating specifically to your segments though, and how you've defined them.